Alrighty, so we have a beautiful little secret spot today. I'm not going to give away the coordinates, but there might be some clues if you listen in the background. And today we're going to be going through the trans issues. Specifically, there's 3 topics that I think are come up frequently in politics. It's just generally trans adults and how we should integrate them in society and how that should be handled. And then trans athletes, whether or not Floyd Mayweather should be able to box out the Women's League, and trans kids, what to do there. So the first one's kind of boring, is for trans adults. I don't think there's really too much to say about it. Is like, if someone is not harming anyone, they're doing their own thing, you can think it's weird, you can do whatever you want to do, you're good. But just leave people alone is the main thing. I don't think there's really much of a place for a policy discussion around it. The government shouldn't be doing genital inspections and trying to figure out people. It's just stupid. So just let people do what they want. If people want to have a W or an M on their passport, it's not really going to bother anyone. We don't do genital inspections in the airports. So that's probably a chill platform. I don't know what the counter argument would even be. Trans people is icky, I think, is the main one. Gay people is icky was the main one back when we were doing that. So I think we're just kind of extending that one out. So not too much to say there. For trans athletes, there is a temptation when we're, when someone on the left, some of us woke liberals, are defending trans rights and trans issues, to not want to give any ground. It's a very common kind of problem that you run into, is if something says trans good, you're like, yes, trans good, trans good, trans good, trans good. The problem with transport specifically is, and this is a very woke take, I think he promised, okay, is there is a difference between male and female physiology, whatever it is. And we do have the Women's League, and the reason the Women's League exists is because half the population can't participate in most of our athletics because they will just get destroyed by a top 1% dude, not even a top 0.0001% dude that we're looking for in a competitive environment. So, the key idea here is Floyd Mayweather can't wake up one morning and say oh, hey everyone, just a heads up, I'm a woman, and start boxing out the Women's League. Everyone agrees that that's true. It's just obvious. The 2 things that we run into is either gender abolitionists who say we should ban all gender in sports and just have unisex leagues, which is a little unfortunate for half the population who'd want to see people like them. Let's see what someone can do with, female anatomy, with the woman's body type, right? Let's see what the best woman can do. People want to see that, right? Half the population wants to see that. And it's kind of weird to try to dissolve the leagues. And then the other thing people want to do is just ban, this is more on the conservative side, is ban anyone who's ever any kind of trans genital inspection stuff. It's kind of weird. So there's a balance there for sure. An example would be if a kid got into an accident, just make it completely non-controversial. And, they just, whatever it was, genetics or whatever it is, they have male chromosomes, but they're totally female presenting. They've been female their whole life. You couldn't tell one from the other. It wouldn't be wise. It would be weird. I don't see the point. There's no benefit to banning someone like that from participating in sports. Same thing for there's just a million examples you can imagine. There's a spectrum. You don't want Floyd Mayweather boxing out the Women's League, but you don't want someone who is on par with women to be denied from participating there. And the key distinction here is that we generally want government to not be intervening in social, cultural stuff. Just let the sports leagues figure it out. They're the professionals. There's already testosterone levels for women's leagues and different things like that. Just let them do their thing. Just leave the sports leagues alone. They'll figure it out. It's kind of their community, their culture, and we don't want a big, giant group of people to be jumping into a small community and telling them what to do. If there's some crazy discrimination situation going on, maybe, but really most of what we see is just, the leagues are more than capable of figuring it out at this point. And then I think the third big topic, and this one's pretty controversial, is the trans kids, pre-18, living in a house, you're teenager, they're I want puberty blockers, okay? This one's kind of spooky for a lot of people. It's pretty controversial, so, I think the key thing here is that the best argument that you hear about it from the conservative side is from, I think, Ben Shapiro, or an argument that kind of distills the feeling of the anti-trans youth side would be, would you cut off your kid's arm if your kid said, I need my arm cut off, I want my arm to be cut off? And, it goes to show, okay, yeah, obviously there's some things that you say, oh, this will make me happy, this will make me feel good, and we probably wouldn't want that. But I think the key counter argument to notice is that more kids get their arms cut off by doctors in a given year than get like like trans surgeries, whatever it is. It's like a couple thousand. It's like, wait a second, why are we cutting kids' arms off? It's like, well, like they need to get amputated for like whatever it is, diabetes, medicine purposes. The key thing is that I don't fucking care. Like I'm not a doctor, I'm not the parent, I'm not the kid. We shouldn't have government doing blanket bans generally. Those are always bad. But we especially shouldn't have government intervening when, you know the meme is the kid says, this is what I want, the parent says, this is what I want, the doctor says, this is what's best for them. Is there someone you forgot to ask? The government is over their shoulder, like, it's me, big government, the nanny state, telling you what you can and can't do. So it's kind of a key idea, right? Is like I don't like the idea of the government stepping in and getting between a parent and kid and the medical profession and the expertise there. And we should just kind of leave it to them. There is kind of the issue of people completely having zero trust in experts, which is what it is. And like experts disagree, and that is what it is too. Like at the end of the day, here's another like key kind of idea here is that when we do a surgery, hip replacement or a knee replacement, or we cut a kid's arm off, we expect it to help them. But we know going in that there's a 10% chance, or like let's say 2% chance that surgery is going to kill them, that there's like a 10 or 20% chance that they're going to have serious complications. It's not always going to work. It's not always going to be in their best interest, and we take that L, okay? We take that L on the chin. Right now, the state of things is that there's a very small number of kids going through processes like this. We have, secret hint, everyone trusts the science, even if they say they don't. Every time you hold the phone, every time you get into a car, every time you go across a bridge, every time you stand in a building, you are trusting millions, hundreds of thousands of experts and their expertise to deliver outcomes. The process works, and in order to get buildings that don't collapse, we had a few that did. And in the same way, there's 1,000 kids getting the surgery now. We'll see how it goes. Europe used to have a much more lenient policy. They've rolled back a little bit, and there's going to be a balance that we find eventually, okay? I think you promise. And that balance, just like every balance we've ever found in civil engineering and in every field imaginable, will come at the cost of making mistakes on the way, because we will test things out, hover around the accurate area, and then kind of hone in on it. And that's how it's going to have to be. That's like the way to do it, and maybe we'll find that these surgeries increase the long-term, happiness and the trajectory of these kids, and maybe we find out that they don't, and we'll leave it to the experts, okay, to do that. Trust the experts, guys. We got to do it. Maybe I'll do another video sometime about why we should trust the experts and why it's probably not a good idea to think, oh, like grandma thinks it's weird, so like can't do that. Like, well, if grandma thinks it's weird, I don't know what we can do. But yeah, that's probably trans stuff in a nutshell. I think the one thing I didn't touch on, just trying to cover all my bases here, is like a protected class situation. So it's like, okay, the government probably shouldn't bother trans people, let people put things on their license, whatever, but should they be a protected class, right? Like, you are allowed, if someone is stinky, you're like, oh, that guy smells weird, or like, I don't like his vibe, or like, he's a Democrat. You're allowed to fire that person from their job. I don't like Democrats. I'm not hiring any Democrats. I'm not hiring any Republicans. I wouldn't, personally. Probably, most Republicans are fine. Maggots, specifically, like full-blown Trump supporters, you wouldn't want to hire. But like, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly legal. That's part of the freedoms that we have as business owners, as Americans, is to kind of do whatever we want. And there's very, very, very specific limitations. It's like, hey, just as a heads up, you can't do that to black people because, it's fucked up. Like, everyone's doing it. It's an essential quality. It's not something they choose. It's not something they can fix. Like, a maggot can choose not to be like an evil Trump supporter, but a black person's kind of stuck. It's like, well, not much I can do. Unless we want to do the transracial video at some point later this week. Maybe we can find a solution for them. But like, most of the time, you can't really do anything about it. Essential qualities. And then if there's like baseless discrimination, so it's like, if I have an essential quality where I'm Ted Bundy and I have to kill people, and it's like, guys, listen, I was born this way, I have to do it, I have to kill people. It's like, okay, well, there's like a basis for this essential quality to be discriminated against. We don't like that essential quality. It's like really bad, It's like, we can be nice. We can be like, Ted Bundy, we love you to death, but we're gonna have to execute you now because your essential quality is bad. So it's essential quality. It's, there's no real discriminatory basis for it. Like, it doesn't make sense to discriminate on. And then it's actually an issue. So like, there's tons of people with red hair. We don't have laws that say you can't bother people about red hair. It's a minority group. It's, there's no real basis for discrimination, but nobody's actually doing it, so we don't bother with the law. Maybe if there's a huge cultural movement to ban all red hair people from jobs or put them in internment camps, we can start working on that. But those are the key three. So like, just quickly knocking these out for trans is like, there's going to be one that sticks out, right? It's like, obviously minority, obviously people are going to actually be doing this. They are. The key one is like, is there a basis for discrimination, and is this an essential quality? And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, just leave people alone, right? Like, just chill. So I think it would be reasonable to make it like a protected kind of class situation, right? Like, the key thing is like someone, I think the only counter argument would be like, okay, well, what about a lot of these trans people are mentally ill? It's like, okay, well, not all of them are, right? Like, not everyone is. We have to acknowledge a higher level of mental illness among trans people. Obviously, they have hard lives, they have difficult circumstances, they have probably something is off that's causing them pain, their dysphoria, that's like causing issues, that's going to correlate with other stuff. But like, if you have a normal trans dude who's like chilling, and you're like, I'm going to discriminate you, it's like, what the fuck, you know? It's like bullshit, okay? If you have someone who's like freaking out, tweaking, you know, doing crazy, throwing paint at the wall and screaming about politics in a way that makes everyone sad, it's like, okay, like maybe you can do that because they're being disruptive, right? But like, there's no reason to do it blanket for trans. So I think obviously having a protected class would be fine. Cool. I think that's basically all of trans issues in 10 minutes. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more punchiness to these videos. I feel like it's a little bit just like da 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 da. I feel like there's some punchy things to say. I gotta get my energy up next time. But we'll keep iterating. We'll see how it goes. All right, those are my thoughts. Peace. Just giving you guys one last view of this view.